everyone, welcome back to my channel. We have another motherfucking video, and this one's gonna be a nice and juicy one, guys. This is the one I was talking about. This is the how to be her, how to be confident, how to change your perception of self, how to remember who the fuck you are, how to return to yourself and return to the peace of mind that only comes from getting still enough to hear yourself, to hear your intuition, to hear your voice, to hear yourself, not the noise of everyone else and everything else. And just, yeah, how to feel beautiful, how to feel handsome, how to just change your relationship to yourself instead of worrying about, like, this is going to be way more focused on like the internal work that it takes to get to that point rather than like the physical. There are physical little elements that I'll like sprinkle in because like that's just a part of like my expression of myself and self-love, which is just tending to myself and making myself feel beautiful and confident and like I'm wearing the most flattering fit, all of that shit. But this is about how to get what you're seeking out of yourself and out of the world, and how to give that to yourself, because that's really what the underlying cause is. Not the underlying cause, but it's kind of like everything you're seeking from everyone else and everything else is never gonna be satiable enough. Like, it's never going to be enough because it's not from you. It's not you getting to that point. It's sort of like a shortcut to, like a shortcut, easier way to, I don't know, to get what you're seeking, basically. So yes, this time I wrote it out in my, look at my cute ass journal, guys, like, come on, be for real. And I had just finished, I think I spoke about it in one of the last two videos, whatever, about how I finished my journal. And I got this one. This is all of July. A bitch has a lot on her fucking mind, I guess. But anyways, so I wrote out some of the steps because I really had to sit with myself and like also see what along my path thus far has gotten me to this point, what has worked, what has not, and try to kind of make sense of it here so that I'm really hitting all the points that I want to and all the points that I feel like are really important. So yeah, but before we start with that, we are going to cleanse the energy because I haven't really done that in a minute in my personal life, and I think it would be really nice to do that with you guys. I don't know why I enjoy lighting things on fire on camera, but yeah, I just want to I got on my nose, smell of Palo Santo, let it cleanse your energy, to call in beauty, to call in confidence, to call in protection, to call in clarity right now. Let's tap into my deepest self. Speak honestly to you guys. Don't let anything block me for you guys. Close your eyes, feel it wash over you and your chakras. All right, guys. Let's get into it. Also, we have CBD for today. Smoked a little before, was cleaning up, wanted to feel tapped in with y'all, but we're gonna smoke some CBD so that I can really stay focused and really stay in my body, so I'm speaking from my heart to y'all. So y'all can smoke up with me if you want, no pressure, have a little tea. Before we get started too, it's just like such a beautiful day. I'm gonna have to put like that little shit at the bottom so you know exactly when I'm gonna start, because I think I'm gonna chat for a little bit, guys. I'm gonna chat for a little bit. Oh, and I did henna on myself because I'm really trying to curb my wanting to get a hand tat, because I just don't have hand tat bread right in this moment. But it looks so pretty. really been savoring this summer. I know it's been disgustingly humid over here, but it's also so beautiful to be seeing the sun and the blue sky and the green and just all the color, like so much life. I'm really feeling the energy of the summer, like feeling alive, feeling connected, feeling happy, energized, like tapped in. Alright, burned out. Anyways, guys, so let's just tap in. I feel like I am delaying the inevitable right now. So boom. We're gonna start with more of the like external things you can do, right? So this is more of the physical stuff, right? So do the little things that make you feel more confident, that make you feel more grounded, that make you feel more embodied. And let's say you're hearing that and you're like, oh, I don't really know the things that make me feel confident, right? Well, this is a wonderful time to like work on that, to make little time and space in your day, presence in your day, to realize when, oh, I'm doing this and it's making me feel good, right? Like, for example, I was just speaking to my partner the other day and telling them like, wow, I've been really singing and dancing a lot more lately, and how I never realized that when I'm happy, when I'm feeling creative, when I'm feeling restless, even, like these are the things that help make me feel better, that make me feel like I'm returning to myself instead of all the noise in my head. And that I never noticed that before. Like, I would just be singing and dancing whenever I felt like it, and I wasn't really recognizing, like, when I'm in states of deep depression, deep abandoning of myself, deep in my head, that I forget about those things. I forget to return to those things. So it'll be a beautiful like practice of learning yourself a little bit deeper, which seems like scary. Like, the more we like dive into ourselves, we're so scared of what we're gonna find, but it's always gonna be beautiful and perfect and enough and right. It's just about you validating it for yourself, but doing the things that make you feel confident. So like, for example, for myself, like, I am dedicated to a day out of the week where I do everything that makes me feel like a fucking goddess. Like, I'm a princess in my little like castle, and I get to be on my time. So I roll a little something up. I make myself a little herbal tea that's supposed to help calm my nervous system. I have a little bath, a little shower. I scrub my whole body down. I exfoliate all of my body, right? If I feel like shaving, I shave. If I don't feel like shaving, I don't fucking shave. Fuck. And boom. Then I oil down my body. I do my face care. Like, I'll do a facial steam, then a face mask, then I'll massage my moisturizer onto my skin. I have a yoni oil, which, quick sidebar, I'm gonna do a whole video about yoni eggs, yoni steams, yoni oil. Like, having a relationship with your yoni, and like, that shit is just magical. Going again back to the point, right? So like, those are the things I really like to do that make me feel like refreshed. It makes me feel tended to. And it's kind of funny, when you take care of your mind, you feel it in your body, and when you take care of your body, you feel it in your mind. And so yeah, that I wear outfits that are really flattering for my figure, or really flattering for the energy I am in. And so that doesn't have to be like, oh, like flattering clothes, like this is the most skin tight fit. Do I like a good skin tight fit? Yes. Do we like a little body moment? Absolutely, right? But also, like, I think that doesn't mean that has to be what you do to look feminine, to look beautiful, to be confident. Like, some of the most times I felt ever confident in like a setting where I'm going outside in a fit is usually in my little like oversized, like there's a little like maybe a little tight shirt, short like a small shirt, or like it'll be a really oversized shirt with like some real cute little, I don't know, short skirt, whatever. And so like kind of mixing the energy around and like tapping into what I feel that day, which might be more like, oh, I want to be able to move, I want to feel like, oh, like my confidence right now and my beauty is like me expressing my style and me giving face, me giving hair, me giving jewelry. Like, I think that a lot of people get lost in like doing what's, and me, myself included as fuck, but like getting caught up in what you think everyone else thinks is sexy, or what you think you have to wear to look like flattering or to look feminine, instead of tapping into you and wearing what makes you feel the most confident and that you feel is the most flattering on your body. Like whatever makes you feel like, ooh, I am that bitch. You might be scared at first, right? Like I wasn't always like confident to wear some of the fits that I wear now, right? Like, because for a long time it was really like a lot of oversized clothes. One, because I felt most confident in it, and because of like experiences with men, right? So it made me just want to cover myself up. But over time, I just started wearing more fits that I was like, ooh, like I'm wearing this in the house and I look so sexy and I feel like such a bad bitch, but I couldn't wear this outside. Like people are gonna think I'm a hoe, or like, or I'm gonna get more attention from men that is undesirable, right? And then I just got to a point where I was like, fuck, like I'm gonna wear whatever I want to wear, and I'm gonna wear it for me because I want to pull a look right now, and I want to feel beautiful, and I want to feel good in my body. And sometimes you really do gotta fake that shit. Like there are times where I've gone out in an outfit and halfway through like me being too far to go back home, I'm like, wow, this was a fit, Zoe. This was really scandalous. This was a choice. And then I realized, like, fuck it. Like, if I'm gonna wear this outfit and I have put on this outfit, like, I need to wear this outfit. Like, I need to be confident in it. So that, yeah. And I think also in doing that, like, you give off an energy that you are not to be fucked with, that that it's not even a point to comment on your fit or how you carry yourself in a negative way, because your confidence, your certainty in your fit and the way you're carrying yourself speaks volumes. So yeah, that I like to wear glitter. Glitter really makes me feel like beautiful. The facial steams, like I said, I'm really considering like releasing like a set of facial steams as well as yoni steams, all of that. So if you're interested, like, you comment below. I can also tell you like what herbs to mix together to have some good facial steams. But yeah, taking care of your body, and that can be in the littlest ways, making yourself a tea, like picking a better food choice for yourself, like shit like that. But on to the next thing. This motherfucking one was a massive practice that has helped me get to the point that I am at, which is affirmations. And I want to give a quick PSA about this first, or a disclaimer, whatever. Is a lot of people like to downplay a lot of spiritual practices, and I mean, I get it, right? Like, from the whole world, I think all of us have been in times in our life where we're ignorant to stuff based on the societal pressure of what is right or wrong. So then you never try it. A bird flew by. So you never tried, or you have this preconceived notion around it. But there are a lot of spiritual practices, I believe, like, if you just open yourself up, if you just trust, if you just listen to yourself and allow yourself to be guided, there's a lot of practices that you might have thought were ridiculous or like don't make any sense, and they could be life-changing. And then there's other practices that just don't work. There's a lot of spiritual practices that like just aren't my cup of tea. Like, they just don't resonate with me, and maybe they don't resonate at this point, but they just don't resonate. Affirmations, though, it literally makes, like, I feel like I'm not trying to like push nobody, but like, to me it makes sense, because if you hear something your entire life, right, like you hear that you are not good enough your whole life, right, even without meaning to, that is a narrative in your head. That is what that's the energy, the vibration that you're moving from unconsciously in some ways, right? And affirmations is just about rewiring, which is just about repeating something to yourself, writing something, hearing something over and over again, so that you are reprogramming the voice and the narrative that is in your mind, right? So like, it feels really uncomfortable at first, right? Like, especially if you're used to having like a really harsh, mean narrative in your head. Like, when I tell you, affirmations, yeah, they're difficult at first. Like, saying things to yourself like, I am beautiful, like, I am worthy, I am a good person, I work hard, I deserve good things are coming my way, I love the person that I am, I feel good in my body, I do not allow myself to feel intimidated or threatened by others. I am honest with myself. I forgive myself. Like, these are powerful things that most of us even struggle to say because we don't feel worthy to say them, because we're told as a society that saying these things about yourself makes you conceited and it makes you self-centered. And I don't know, it's just been one of the biggest aids for me, which is just speaking kindness and love over myself. And it's so crazy because it's just such a gradual shift. Like, you do it and you may feel better in certain points, and just like any other practice, there are times when you do it and you don't feel great after, right? Like, you don't get the result that you wanted, right? But when I tell you, over time I've seen the work of this, where I could have gone into a really dark headspace, so I'm in a spiral in my head of self-deprecating talk and just like ripping myself apart, really. And then I take a deep breath and I'm remembering, hey Zoe, don't talk to yourself like that. Hey Zoe, you are okay. You're doing so much better than you thought you were doing. You're doing the thing. Yes, this might be a moment, a step back even. You might have done something that wasn't for your highest good, and you knew it might have been not good for you, taking accountability and just like talking to yourself and telling yourself it is okay. Like, it is okay, it is okay, it is okay. Where I'm at right now is okay. How I am is okay. What I feel is okay. What I want, what I need is okay. How I spend my time, how I express myself, what brings me joy, what I want to do with my time in life, who I want to spend my time with. All of it is all right, and it's your truth, and that might offend people. It will offend some people who are not there. And I can only say that as well because there have been points in my life where I've seen other people at that place and it struck, like, it was wildly intimidating. And I just realized, like, I don't know, through affirmations and through seeing a different side of myself, that the beauty, the charisma, the sexiness, the ability to carry themselves well in social settings, their outfit, their body, like anything that I'm seeing in another that I think is beautiful, admirable, desirable, is just another manifestation of the beauty, love, intelligence, charisma that's within myself. So yeah, that's one of them. And I'm not going like particularly in order. Like, there are certain things I think might be top priority, which I should have started with, which is, I think, making decisions. And that sounds dumb, right? Because like every day we're making decisions, right? Like, you decide what you're gonna wear, you decide what you're gonna eat, you decide to snooze your alarm one too many times, like you decide to walk down this street instead of that street, you decide to go on social media, or whatever, you get what I'm trying to get at, right? But a lot of these decisions we're making them unconsciously, or we're allowing other people to make them for us. And making decisions, I think, is so fucking important, especially for a lot of us who have been, a lot of kids, right? A lot of just people who were raised to not be allowed to say no. A lot of women, a lot of people, a lot of kids are raised not being allowed to say no, not being allowed to be like, I don't want to do that, like, because then you're difficult, you're all these things, whatever. But when I tell you, making decisions, yeah, that's the taking of what's just become aware to you and making action from that, right? Like, making decisions. One of the biggest things I can say about this is, do not do what you do not want to do. Do not do what you do not want to do. And I'm only reiterating it and saying with all this passion, because once again, this was a big lesson for me to learn, a big lesson I still struggle with all the time, which is, don't do what you do not want to do. Do not say yes to somebody if it means saying no to yourself. Do not do something just because you feel like somebody else wants you to do it. Don't do something to make other people happy if it will result in you being drained and you not completing the things that you said you wanted to complete. If it means abandoning yourself and your needs and your boundaries and what you know innately that you want. Don't do it. Because the more that you do it, the more that you lose the more that you silence your intuition to the point where you can almost not even hear her, to the point where like you only hear her when she's screaming out. And even then, like, I was the kind of person that my intuition needed to like basically punch me in the fucking face for me to be like, oh yeah, I know I shouldn't be doing this. Why am I doing this? Why am I hanging out with people that I know I feel drained by, right? Why am I choosing this habit over this habit when I'm trying to get present? Why am I choosing this? Why am I choosing to escape instead of get present when I know I need to get present? Like, don't do what you don't want to do. Don't do what doesn't feel good. And that can be in the littlest ways. Like, this started very drastically small for me, which was just like, okay, like, I want to cut my hair, so I cut my hair. Like, and that sounds crazy because I feel like for some people, like, there's a lot of attachment to their hair, and there was for me. So that sounds like a big step, but what I mean for me in that regard is like, it was something that feels small to me because it's just hair, but it was something I wanted to do for so long. Like, I didn't even, like, I was told always like, oh, don't cut your hair, to the point where like I didn't even consider, do I want to fucking have long hair or do I not, right? And so it's like those little steps where it's like, oh, like this person asked you if you can hang out with them and you don't really want to hang out with them. No, I don't want to, or no, I can't. Like, and remember, you don't even need to explain yourself to nobody. Like, you don't. You can if you want to, if it's a respect thing, if it's because you feel called to, but not because you feel like you need to prove you're wanting to have space, or prove you're wanting of anything really. So yeah, making decisions, to also just build trust in yourself, right? Like, there's a lot of things that over time, the world, our home lives, our friends, social media, everything like drills into us that we're not able to do it, that we are not capable enough. Like, something I was told was that I don't make good decisions, right? And because I was told I don't make good decisions, I like was feeding that narrative without even realizing, which just meant that I wasn't giving myself a shot at anything, because I assumed the things that I wanted to do and the things that I decisively knew I wanted to do, that they were wrong and that they were bad, and that, yeah, I just didn't know what I was doing, essentially. And it took me doing things that were really uncomfortable, things that I might not have wanted to do, things that were really uncomfortable. Like, when I moved out, like when I started taking ballet classes, which I did, I think that was a year ago. So I was 22 and I've never done ballet. I've never done dancing. I've always loved dancing, right? Like, in the periods of my life when I was really little that I remember, like, I was always dancing, right? And then there was a long time I just felt so disconnected from my body, and uncomfortable in my body. And so I lost touch with that. And so then when I regained touch with that and really realized that, then I was like, fuck, I want to take classes and I want to try dancing. And when I tell you, the first 3 classes that I had of ballet, I literally started crying after. Some of them I was tearing during, because I just felt so uncomfortable. I felt like, oh, like I look dumb, like I don't know what I'm doing, like everyone else is so much better at this. Like, crying because I never like been in tune with my body in an expressive way around other people. I've never like given myself like that. Like at parties, if you know I got pumped up enough, yeah, I'm dancing, but like this was different. Panic during solo trips, right? So these are just what I wrote. Like, I really wanted to go visit Europe, right? I had went once to Italy for a week, loved it, and I wanted to experience that again. And I am a person who doesn't have like a lot of my friends are scattered, so it's not like a group of friends. I have a friend here, friend there, blah blah blah, like, and it's one-on-one. Those are kind of the way that I thrive best in my friendships, and the way that I'm most satisfied in friendships. So I knew that like one degree it is aspect of like, I know that I wasn't gonna have somebody to go on these trips with me, but it was also the fact of like, I want to know that I can do this by myself. Like, I want to know that I can trust myself to go visit somewhere that I want to visit, and that I can have an enjoyable trip, and that I can be safe and I can be smart. But during it, I had panic moments. I had moments of deep loneliness, all of those things. But doing things even when you're afraid or you don't want to, like, that's how you build trust in yourself. Trust that you will show up for yourself, and trust that you can do things even when you don't, like, you haven't had experience doing it before. Once again, with the making decisions, not giving into temptation, right? So this goes back into the trusting yourself to do what is best for yourself, and not giving into temptation is, that looks differently for everyone, right? Like, that can look like not binge eating, that could look like not under eating, that can look like not being on your phone till 4 a.m, that can look like not re-engaging in the same on and off relationship with someone who's not good for you, right? Like, it looks like just not giving into the things that might be pleasurable in the moment, or you think it may give you what you need right now, the easy way, instead of doing what you know future you will feel best about. And I think a good example of this is like when you go and you eat some really like shitty food, right? Like, you know that it's not good for your body, right? We're so addicted to the momentary pleasure it brings our senses. We're more addicted to that. We seek that out and completely negate how we will feel after. Like, how our body will feel groggy, how our body will feel like, oh, my tummy hurts, like all of the negative impacts. We are so much more, we're less afraid of that and more focused and addicted and seeking out the pleasure, the dopamine it gives us in that moment. And yeah, so just making the decision to pick what is right and better for you, and that looks once again differently for everyone, instead of what is harmful, what is going to bring you back to the slow vibration, like what is going to make you not feel good about yourself. It's not going to make you feel present. And along with that really goes hand in hand with, like I said, like returning to that on and off relationship with this person who's no good for you. Like, being so intentional with the people you keep around you. All of us have probably heard this shit from like family or some elder, right? Be fucking discerning with who you keep around you, because you may not even realize the subtle ways that somebody could be draining you, or could be holding you back, or could be harming you, or who could be taking up space where you could have a fulfilling friendship, a fulfilling relationship, all because we're afraid of being alone, all because we feel like an obligation to this person, all because we feel like an identity in this friend group, whatever it is. But you need to cut off people. You need to remove yourself from people, because it's not a personal thing. Remove yourself from people who do not make you feel good about yourself, who when you are around them, you don't feel good about yourself. When you're around them, you feel like you have to be somebody else. When you're around them, you feel like it's never your turn. When you're around them, you feel like you can't speak, even if they say that you can, but you don't feel like you can. You have to remove yourself from people who say little comments that slowly knock away at your confidence, that knock away at all the realist parts of yourself that are beautiful. And of course, there's anomalies to this. Once again, this don't mean go cut off anybody who like offends you this one time, or that doesn't mean just like cut off people when you may be part of the problem of your friendship not being fulfilling, because you're not setting boundaries, or because you're not taking up your space, or because you're afraid of being vulnerable. You have to be very in tune with yourself to be able to discern the difference, to distinguish the difference, and then be discerning with who you keep around. And I'm gonna be very frank with y'all, this part can be very lonely, and I feel like when you go on that journey with yourself, you will see how people will fade away. And that doesn't mean anything bad on them. It doesn't mean anything bad on you. I think it's really easy for all of us to take these things personal and to get offended, but really there's nothing personal about it. Like, think about all the times you haven't resonated with somebody, or you can't hold a convo with them, or you like just couldn't build a friendship. You guys don't have anything in common, right? It's never been a personal thing. It's just been, that's what it is. You don't hate them. You don't think they're a bad person. You just don't vibrate in a way that works together. And so it is okay for you to have cared about somebody and spent time with them and realize, like, oh, this is no good for me. Like, this isn't serving me anymore. And this is where it comes into, like, loving and valuing yourself enough to release things holding you back, instead of seeking out or trying to get your validation, your love, your acceptance through somebody else. And I think that can be really hard. I think it can also be really hard when we're concerned about the story that another person has in their head of us, or the story they may be telling other people about us. But really, none of that matters if you know yourself. And none of that matters to the people who actually know you and know your heart, and to the people that are interested in getting to know you, instead of just taking that for face value. So yeah, and once again, kind of like bleeding out from that into something else, which is another massive point. I think everything I wrote, like, all add up to kind of get to this place of rewiring your perception of self and like being her the fuck. And this was kind of just tapping into what I was saying, which was like, this will be lonely, right? Like, spending time alone, right? Especially if you don't typically do this, especially if you typically like escape into devices, into people, into bud, into anything, right? But spending time alone, and not just time alone, but time in stillness and silence, sitting with yourself, sitting with the moment, sitting with whatever feelings are coming up, whether that's in your heart, in your mind. You're feeling heavy, you're feeling grateful, you're feeling motivated, you're feeling restless, or physically, like you have a headache, you've been experiencing a lot of pain in your feet and you haven't been acknowledging it, you haven't been taking the 5 extra seconds to show your feet some love, like you haven't been drinking enough water, whatever, all the physical cues. In that stillness and in that moment, when you're just here, you're not running, you're not distracting, you're not avoiding, then you can hear your inner dialogue. You can hear the way you're thinking about yourself. You can hear the thoughts that are on repeat in your head that you haven't been noticing. The I'm tired, or I'm not good enough, or I can't do that, or like I don't know what I want to do when I do know what I want to do. Yeah, no, we can do it, instead of no, I don't want to. Like, you will see the difference you will see the patterns. You'll see the patterns, and you'll see the stories and the illusions and the narratives. You'll see it, and it'll be uncomfortable. There are many days where it's uncomfortable, and I don't want to do it. I don't want to sit in it. I don't want to write about it. I don't want to cry. I don't want to be angry. But I got to, because if I don't, it builds up to this point where like we're all jittery all the time, and we can't take 1 second by ourselves without snapping. We need this, we need this, we need this. We always need something. And when you're always chasing, there will be a point where you burn out. And then you'll be forced to be by yourself. Whether that's like you lose a job, whether that's you lose friendships, a relationship ends, whether that is you get sick. For me, I was getting sick a lot during like the beginning of this like journey of self. Like, I was getting sick a fucking lot. It was because I was trying to like rush, and like also tell myself I was facing things, but I was avoiding them. And I would get sick, and I would have to sit there. I have to sit in the bed, in the silence, in the pain, in the dis-ease that has now manifested in my body from my mind. And yeah, so I say that to say that it's uncomfortable. Like, it's hard as fuck at first, because now you have all this buildup. It's like when you have your to-do list and you keep pushing it back, so now there's more and more and more and more, to the point where it almost feels like it is not possible to accomplish any of it. Like, that is how it will feel if you don't sit with yourself, with your emotions, with your feelings, with the triggers, with the trauma. Like, that is what will happen. You will blow up, you will be irritable, you will be unhappy, you will be projecting that onto other people. So you gotta spend time alone to hear your inner dialogue, to hear your intuition. Because the more that you start to listen to your intuition, the more she speaks. Little ways, more and more. The more she learns that she can use her voice, which you will see with yourself then. You feel like you can use your voice. And when you sit in that stillness, in that uncertainty, in that self, then you can trust more. Then there's more peace in the unfolding of your path. Like, there is more peace. I also wrote to distinguish your real voice from your critic, right? So sometimes we have an inner critic. That could have been our mother, that could have been our grandmother, that could have been our best friend, that could have been a partner, that could be society, that could be social media. Just this voice in your head. Then instead of accepting and loving and honesty, you're met with these false beliefs, these self-limiting beliefs, this criticism of everything that makes you you. And when you sit with yourself more, you can be able to distinguish what you believe and how you feel from what you've been told to believe and told to feel. And I feel like that was also really like illuminating, like healing point in my life, because then I started to realize, like, no, I actually don't believe this. Like, I may have been told that I'm supposed to believe this, but I'm seeing the expansiveness in life. Like, I don't have to feel this way. I don't have to live this way. Like, there is a world of possibilities. And I think when you really not only spend time with yourself, but you do your breath work, you do your meditation, which can look differently for everyone. Like, I can make a whole video on meditation because I feel very passionately about it and very passionate about how it is misconstrued and how it can help so many people. But I feel like when you are tapped in and you're breathing and you're being present, you see the expansiveness of time, of life, of like your capacity. Because like, even then, there's so many times in a day where like all of us are like, oh, I don't have enough time, I don't have enough time, I don't have enough time. But that's not really true. It's some cases yes, some cases yes. You got a kid, I don't know anything about having a kid, so I'm not even gonna speak on that. Can't even imagine. But I'm speaking about the majority of us, that if we go on our screen time right now, we have 9 to 10 hours on social media, right? Like, we have so much time in a day. And when you breathe through that, you see there's time to sit with your emotions. There's time to make yourself that tea, that cup of tea. There's 5 minutes you can make to just sit and massage your feet after a long day. There is time on your train ride to work, your train ride back, to write, to read, to make music, like to do all these things that would really feed us. There's time, and you realize that when you spend more time alone and more time in the stillness instead of the hustle and bustle, there's never enough time. When we're forever, like we are infinite. You know what I mean? You know what I mean. Yeah, also kind of like what I was saying before about like learning the things that make you feel confident, right? Like in this space with yourself, you will learn what you want, what you need, what you're feeling, what are your triggers. Like in stillness, there's space and there's to think, hey, what do I actually want to eat right now? What do I actually want to do? What do I desire from life, for my future, when I'm not so concerned about other people, when I'm not worried about being too much or worried about how possible it is, like when I'm not moving from a place of fear but from a place of love and trust. What do I desire? And how do I feel? Do I want to go out? Do I want to stay in? Am I staying in to isolate? Am I going out because I feel like I have to? And you just create space for those things, and it is a beautiful, beautiful fucking thing. really. Like, it is a beautiful thing to know yourself deeper. And it's one thing to know yourself deeper, but to honor those things once you know them. To make the changes once you see them. Like, see your role in your unhappiness, right? To remember your wholeness. To remember as you are, what you have, what you've done, how you feel. You're whole. You are whole. We lose so much of ourselves to other people, to constraints put on us by other people and ourselves. We lose so much of ourselves, and we forget that we can reclaim those things. We can call those things in. We can reclaim the things that brought us joy as a kid. We can reclaim that open, light, trusting heart that you had before that person harmed you and betrayed you and took away your naivety, right? You can call these things back in. You can call your beauty in. You can call your confidence. You can call your strength. You can call your dreams, your motivation. You can call those things back in, but you also have to do the work. It's like a three-parted to me, where it's like you have to believe, you have to really, really believe and have hope. You have to do your part. You have to do your part. Universal law of least effort. You have to do at the very least your part. And then you have to be and let it come. So my whole point being, when you spend time alone, you return to your wholeness, and you get so comfortable in your own company that it makes it easier to let things go that are not good for you, because when you know you deserve better things, not even better things, you just deserve what's more in line with you. And it makes it easier to let people go, because you don't need them to feel loved. You don't need them to fill the gaps in your day, the loneliness. Like, you don't need them for that. And I think it's beautiful because it not only opens a new level of love for yourself, like a new level of love of self, of valuing of self, but it also like opens a whole new layer of love in your relationships, because you're loving people not from a place of desperation, not from a place of I need you, not from a place of those things. You love them from a place of, oh, you add something so beautiful to my life. In this very moment in my life, I just want to witness you as you are, and I want to love you, and I want to care about you. And I think that's really fucking beautiful. Anyways, let's see where we are. What's next? Yeah, we don't have very much left, so that's exciting. So if you guys have lasted this long, I fuck with you. I'm really glad you're listening and tapped in, because not for nothing, like, these are the things that really helped change the trajectory of my life. But this was a big one, and I'm gonna first explain where I heard this concept of abandoning yourself, right? There's this YouTuber I used to be subscribed to, and I used to watch her videos, and I remember, kind of like I was speaking earlier about, like, I understand that sensation of being intimidated or like triggered by somebody else's like expression, raw expression of themselves, confident expression of themselves. So I was subscribed to them, but like I would rarely click on their videos because I was so intimidated. I was like, oh, if I watch this, I'm gonna feel triggered and not good enough. When in actuality, I clicked one of these videos this day because I was like, I feel like there's a message for me here. Like, I feel like I want to face things even if I feel intimidated. I want to learn from the people that I see, and I'm like inspired. Like, I want to emulate that. I want to get to that point with myself. It doesn't have to be an expression that they have it, but I want to feel that way with myself. And she spoke about how she got to the point where she was at because she stopped abandoning herself. She prioritized herself. She prioritized how she felt, what she needed, what she wanted. And she was committed to that day in, day out. I just watched an interview with Princess Nakia. She talked about the same thing, this commitment to yourself. So that means being intentional with your time, being intentional with the people you keep around you, being intentional with what you ingest, not only food-wise, but like media-wise, music, movies, shows, videos, the things you're saying to yourself, like being intentional. And the same amount of energy you'd give into a friendship, you'd give into a relationship, you'd give in trying to make somebody love you, You gotta put that shit in yourself. And once again, this is another thing I say with a grain of salt, because like, even for example today, right, like I really have needed this day to myself fully, especially as I'm PMSing. I needed space fully to myself, where I'm not working, where I'm not with my partner, where I'm not around anybody else. But there are times where I can cling on to people and cling on to things to escape myself, especially when I really need to be with myself and I'm scared of what might arise. But in my partner going and having something to do, I've been blessed with this day fully to myself, and it just reminds me that I need to be committed to taking more time to myself, instead of clinging on because I'm so afraid of like uncertainty, and if I'm not there, something will change. So I say that to say I really do understand how difficult it is to prioritize yourself, to find everything you need in yourself, especially because I think a lot of, well, myself, and I think a lot of women that I've like known in my life personally, is there is this belief that love and somebody else will save you, when really like you save yourself. And so yeah, stop abandoning yourself. It kind of just tied into all the other things. This is another one I really this is another one's really important, right? I'm surprised that it's taken me so long to get to this point, because this is another massive one, which is shadow work. If you haven't heard that term before, that I'm very surprised, because it's become another popular trendy word or whatever, but that shit really fucking works. Like shadow work and therapy, right? Therapy is not for everyone. I think everyone could benefit, but some people, they've had their experiences, it's not for them. For me, I have had my fair share of therapists that I didn't really vibe with, mostly male, and then my previous therapist, and then my current therapist. And the massive aid that has been in my life, as a person who like wants to be able to do everything on her own, and doesn't want to need to depend on anyone, who thinks she knows everything, thinks that she can figure everything out on her own, it has been a massive aid for me. But that's one thing I highly recommend, if it is affordable, if it is plausible, if it is something that you're open to. But if that's not an option, and in conjunction with that, if it is an option, shadow work, which is being so fucking honest with yourself. And this one hurts. A lot of these are a little bit like, oof, you know, because a lot of it is facing the things that cause our triggers. It's facing the ways that we are responsible for certain ways that we've allowed ourselves to be treated, anomalies of course, that we are responsible for some of the ways that we felt caged in, that we have amplified other people's voices instead of our own, that we seeked love and acceptance of ourselves outside of ourselves. All of these things, like it's being honest about the parts of yourself that may be holding you back without you even realizing, where you're holding guilt and you're holding shame. And just facing those things, forgiving yourself, taking accountability, feeling, recognizing. There's something I wrote that I wanted to say, like how I've noticed it transpires: deeper facing of self. So shadow work, being honest with yourself, being curious with yourself instead of judgmental with yourself, equals deeper acceptance of self. So there's less shame, there's less guilt, there's less I need to hide myself, less fear. It's more like, oh, I'm out in the open, I'm in truth. So I can accept myself because I know myself and I see myself and I love myself, right? Equals deeper knowing of worth. The more you know yourself, your real self, the more you know your worth. The more you know that doesn't matter your good side and your bad side, you are innately worthy, and you are innately enough, and you are innately beautiful, and you're innately deserving of love and good things. And that equals deeper detachment of people, places, and things. For you learn that you are whole on your own and will be okay regardless. So all of these things trickle down into each other to the point where you are whole, and you're moving from a place of love, you're moving from a place of trust, you're moving from a place of intuition, you're moving from a place of your realist self. And by vibrating at that place, at that frequency, you are attracting everything you want, everything you desire, all the kind of people and friendships that you need around you, that are fulfilling, that make you feel loved, because you deserve those things. And in realizing you're whole alone, you make space for those things, because you don't cling on to the things that are no good for you. Yeah. And I think part of that is also, like, I think I'm going to try to link it down below, but there was a specific video by this YouTuber, The Bloom Room, and she was speaking about the divine feminine and how you tap into that, and how you, like how you return to that. And pushing that aside, if you don't care to know about like the divine feminine and things like that, which is so fine, it's like not for everyone to like divulge into those things if it's not what you feel called to. But I loved the ways that she chose to word how you heal the wounded feminine, right? Which is shining a light on your pain, right? Being there for yourself, being there for her, facing the cause, what's trapping us. And in facing the cause, you find the instant answer. How to rescue yourself and free yourself. Facing, sitting with, knowing that no one can heal us but ourselves. And those three steps are acknowledgement of pain, of what we've experienced. 2, accepting responsibility logically and compassionately. So acknowledging all those feelings of shame, of littleness, of not enoughness. Facing that this is what has happened, this is where we're at, this is what we've experienced, and what's been the results of it. And then, like I said, accepting responsibility logically, accepting that, hey, I didn't set boundaries, accepting that, hey, I stood longer than I should have, I disrespected myself, and that's okay, because I didn't know then, and I love me regardless. Compassion, right? And then last, apologizing and forgiveness. So apologizing to yourself, forgiving yourself, possibly apologizing to someone else that you might have hurt, acting from that space of littleness, of self-hatred, of all the things. So that one is a really, 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 really big one. I think the forgiving yourself and taking accountability, like recognizing your role while also knowing that it is not all your responsibility in a lot of cases in which you are hurt by someone else, right? And then the last one, guys. Yeah, the last one. Damn, it's been an hour. I meant to make this like shorter, but I think whoever really wants to receive and work on these things will feel called to and will follow through, right? Okay, this one I wrote is allowing yourself to receive love, allowing yourself to receive help, allowing yourself to receive, I don't even want to say criticism, but honesty from the people around you, allowing people around you to set their boundaries and to call you out on things and to shed light on things that you may not have noticed, and taking it in. You may take it personally, you may feel away, that's normal, momentary, but after you're done feeling the trigger, lean into it and listen and allow yourself to receive. Allow yourself to know that, especially for my people pleasers out there, that like it's not a love contest, right? Like letting somebody help you, rejecting that doesn't mean you're loving them stronger, not that you're loving them better. Loving someone better isn't rejecting their love and their bids for connection and their ways of trying to help you. And I think that part of me feeling a lot of unfulfillment in certain relationships where it was genuinely me, it was because I wasn't allowing myself to receive their love and their care, and their compassion. I didn't allow myself to receive their help. And in doing so, it just shows me that I am so loved and I am so deserving of love, and that I deserve only people around me who care about me, and who love me and who want to uplift me and who inspire me. So yeah, allowing yourself to receive love, and in doing so, you notice who's really there for you, right? You notice who's really there for you, who really loves you as you are, who really wants to be there through the hardest and most beautiful parts of you and your feelings in your life, and the little ways they may be holding space for you or trying to show you love that you just may have not been noticing because you were so closed off from it. And this is also really beneficial because it kind of sheds light to the people who once you start setting boundaries, disappear, or when it's your turn to receive, disappear or don't give you what you need, obviously within reason, and don't settle until you find the people who do make you feel those ways, who do make you feel like they're really there for you, who really do make you feel like they love you for who you are. And yeah, because you will find your people. And this has been a really hard one for me because I feel like friendship wound is a big one for me. Like relationships with people is a big wound for me. I feel like I've been in more situations where I feel really hurt and depleted. That it makes me feel like people equal pain and alone equals safety. And so I've had two specific people that come to mind. Yeah, maybe close to 3 people that come to mind that really, really reshaped my view of love, of connection, of friendships, and really reinstilled hope in me, like lit a flame in me that I will be able to find more and more people who will love me and treat me well and care about me because they exist, you know, because I exist, and that's the way that I give my love, right? And when you don't feel good about yourself, when you yourself don't even uplift yourself, hold space for yourself, tend to yourself, not abandon or neglect yourself, then we attract those things because we attract what we are, right, is what people say. And another video I was recently watching, I've just been really back into my like space of spirituality, and it's been beautiful, but that really means more so that we attract what we believe about ourselves, right? And so then it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy where like you are attracting people that don't give you love and don't treat you well and make you feel bad about yourself and leave you just feeling empty and drained when you hang out with them, because that's what you think you deserve. And when you start to shift that and you start to show the universe that that is not what you want and not what you will allow, then you will see a different energy come and make way, because you've just made your container so much bigger and so much more open to what's actually good and meant for you, if that makes sense. So yeah, and I feel like it might be overwhelming hearing all of these things, right? Because I think a lot of these things I've heard over time in little different ways, but I was in no place to receive it. I was in no place ready to implement those things. And I think whatever little changes you can do, make those. Whatever little steps you can do them, because it will trickle down in ways you didn't think possible, because it's a butterfly effect. And how you feel about yourself, how you treat yourself, how you view the world, and what you think is available to you in the world, you vibrate from that energy. And when you vibrate from that energy, that's what you bring to yourself. So you just gotta remember who you are. And that means removing yourself from people. Sometimes that means removing yourself from the world and returning to yourself, so then you can show up in the world in a way that feels real, in a way that feels fulfilling, in a way that's good and healthy for you. And once again, like all of these things are things that I'm struggling with still, that I'm working through still. Like I don't ever want it to seem like, oh yeah, I know what the fuck, like how I know the keys and I think I'm the greatest ever, and which, you know, there's nothing wrong with that as well. Like love yourself, for real, duh. But I would be lying if I didn't say that this was like a daily dedication for me. Like I think for a majority of my life, and a lot of times when I fall into OCD and like it is because I think that the things that I want and I care about and I focus on are not good enough. But being dedicated to yourself evolvement, being dedicated to your self-love, to your worth, to your respect, to your personal life, that's a beautiful thing to be dedicated to. And yeah, maybe at the end of my life I won't have this tangible thing, but I will have energy and I will have love and I will have people and things that I impacted just with my love and just by my deeper showing up of self. And through all of that, of course, I hope to figure out what my purpose is or what my dream is. But this is a good thing to be dedicated and focused on. And I think, yeah, that's what it is. It is a commitment. And yeah, for once, maybe instead of being committed to somebody else, be committed to yourself. Yeah, so these things are hard. And for sure, take some deep breaths, maybe journal, maybe talk to a friend, talk to yourself. And just figure out what's the most doable for you to start and then bleed out. Because these things didn't all happen overnight, and certainly not all at once. I had one of the most painful years of my life sitting with myself and feeling and being honest and like the deep work that comes with that. But I would say that like I'd do that shit again, and I know anything that comes after, I'm gonna be able to handle it with grace and with trust and with faith in myself and in the universe and in love and in being brave and taking risks and in knowing yourself. So yeah, these things seem not doable. A lot of these things I really did not think were possible for myself. And I think for a long time, whatever beauty I felt in myself, and sometimes I struggle with this still, is in my physical and in the being told so much that that's kind of where my worth is in, or like why people are kind, or all of these things. And that when you put all your value into your physical, it's empty, because we all know that there will be a day, if we're lucky, that we get older and we won't have this flesh and we won't look as beautiful as we do right now. So it's important to honor it now, but to not make it your source of value and your source of validation. Yeah, just remember that you are infinite and you are beautiful and you are perfect. And yeah, I'll link down below also two of the guided affirmations I use. If you guys want a little bit more in depth than even that, just let me know. I'll try not to make that 1 hour long, but to anybody and everyone who did watch this through, I'm really glad that you were tapped in, that you were open to hearing what was on my mind and what helped me. And yeah, I wish you guys so much love, and there's just so much room for all of us to shine. And it's hard not to compare yourself, and it's hard to feel good about yourself, but that hard work is so fucking worth it. And yeah, then there'll come a day where you'll see yourself maneuvering in the world in a way you never thought possible. And it's exciting because it just shows you how much opportunity in the world there is, how much capacity you have, how much the confidence that you are capable of, the lack of insecurity, the lack of shame, the lack of comparison, because you know yourself and you know your worth and you know you're whole, and you know that there's room for all of us to be beautiful, and there's room for all of us to be successful and wealthy and happy. And I hope you give that to yourself, and I hope you give yourself a shot. But I love you guys, and I'm really glad that I was able to get that all off my chest and to you guys. And yeah,